Now let's look at the problem of writing equations of lines given 2 points. So example problem might be, it would just say write the equation of the line passing through the points 10, 2 and -5, -7. So here's the key points here. First of all, you need to know what formula to use, and what you use is you use the point slope formula. And then you need to know the steps, and the steps are pretty straightforward. The first thing you do is you find the slope. Second step, so the very first thing you do is you have to know what formula to use. You use the point slope formula. Now remember, the point slope formula is y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1, right? That's the point slope formula. Then the steps to do is, first thing is you need a point and a slope. You don't have the slope, so you find the slope. The second step you're going to do is you're going to plug in the slope and 1 point into the point slope formula. And the third step is you're just going to rewrite it however you wish. So I wasn't given how to rewrite it here. Sometimes the question will state rewrite it in this form, write it in this form or that form. It's either going to be usually going to be either standard form or slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and get started on this problem. First, I'm going to write down the 2 points. The 2 points are 10 and 2, -5, -7. And I'm going to go write the point slope formula down. That's y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. And the first thing I notice is I don't have the slope, so I'm going to find the slope. And the way I'm going to find the slope is I'm going to use what's called the slope formula. And the slope formula is simply slope is equal to y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And it turns out here that it doesn't matter which one we call point number 1 and point number 2. Generally I call this one point number 1 and this point number 2. And if I do it that way, then this is x sub 1 and this is y sub 1. This is x sub 2 and this is y sub 2. So if I'm doing the slope formula, I go y2, which is -7, minus y1, which is 2, x2, which is -5, minus x1, which is 10. And then you're going to have -7, it's a -2 over -5 minus 10, which is a -9 over a -15. And that's your slope. Now we need to go ahead and simplify that slope. A negative over a negative is a positive, so that's easy enough. So your slope is 9 over 15. That simplifies, though. If you notice, 3 goes into both 9 and 15. So if I take out a 3 from both of that, I get the slope of 3/5. And that's your step 1, right? Step 1 is to find the slope. Now after you find the slope, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to plug in the slope and 1 point into the formula. So I have the formula already written down. Let's plug the slope in. Y minus y1 is equal to 3/5 x minus x1. And now I need to plug in a point. And it turns out it doesn't matter which point I use. And if you have a problem where it's easier to use one point or another, use that one. Otherwise, just choose whichever you want to. I'm going to use the first one. So I'm going to go y minus 2 is equal to 3/5 10. Oops, I made a mistake. 3/5 x, right? Right, because this is just a variable. X minus 10. And that's actually a fine answer there. It's not usually the form that you want it in. Usually you're now going to rewrite it either slope-intercept form or standard form. So the first thing is, let's write this in slope-intercept form. If we're going to write this in slope-intercept form, we want it to look y is equal to mx plus b. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute the 3/5. So I get y minus 2, 3/5 x, right? Because 3/5 times x is 3/5 x. Now it's 3/5 times 10. That's going to be, remember 10 is 10 over 1, so that's 30 over 5 or 6. Now let's see if it's positive or negative. That's a positive number times a negative number is a negative number. Now what do I need to do? I need to move the 2 over there, so I'm going to add 2 and add 2. My final answer is y is equal to 3/5 x minus 4. And that's my answer if I want it in slope-intercept form. Let's look at the problem if we wanted to write it in standard form. Now, up until this point right here, everything would be the same. So let's write that down. We'd have y minus 2 is equal to 3/5 x minus 10. Now, standard form is ax plus by is equal to c. So let's look at that. Let's distribute the 3/5. So you have y minus 2 is equal to 3/5 x. Let's see, that's 3/5 times a minus 10, which is 10 over 1. Now I can cancel if I want to the 5 and the 10. That becomes a minus 2 and that becomes a 1, so that's minus 6. Now I want it in this side, so what I want is I want the x on the other side, so I'm going to subtract 3/5 x from both sides. So I get minus 3/5 x plus y minus 2 is equal to minus 6. No, minus 2. Here it's a minus 2. And now I want this 2 over there, so I'm going to add 2 and add 2. And I have minus 3/5 x plus y is equal to minus 4. Now I've got it in the form that I want to, except for I want a, b, and c to be integers, right? A, b, and c should be integers. And a lot of people want a to be positive. Though some people say that argue that doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this by 5. By multiplying this by 5, I clear the fraction, right? Because 5 times a minus 3/5, so it'll just be a negative 3. Since x is negative, I'm going to multiply by minus 5. Minus 5, that's a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's 15 over 5, so that's going to be 3x. Minus 5 times y is going to be a minus 5y. Minus 5 times minus 4 is going to be a positive 20. And that's my answer right there. And that's how you solve problems, or how you write equations with lines given 2 points.